I returned to Angola in the fall of 1971. I planned to hunt in the Makuso concession, which lies along the Kabango River in southeastern Angola. The only access to these regions is by bush plane. Our outfitter has hired bushman trackers, and their families joined them for the duration of the hunting season. One of the group's meat hunters showed me his weapon. A steel-tipped arrow packed with a nerve poison that kills the animal it hits within minutes. Quite effective even on large animals like buffalo. My Rhino bow, with its 100-pound pull, had the bushman wondering why I owned a bow so difficult to use. They had more fun with it than I did. I'd been requested by the Carnegie Museum of Natural History of Pittsburgh to procure for them a black rhino specimen. I accepted, grateful for the chance to go back, perhaps for the last time, and hunt big game once more with bow and arrow. Only this time to do it the way I felt it should be done. That is, with no backup gun around. Our plan was simple. The rhino come in from the bush at night and drink at this local watering hole. Then before dawn, they leave once more for the deep bush. With my guide and tracker, I arrived at the riverbed just at dawn, looking for those fresh rhino tracks. Once we spotted a fresh set of tracks, the hunt began for the day. While I strung up my bow and readied all my bow equipment, my bushman tracker, Halika, ran ahead of the hunting party, following the tracks of the rhino. He made sure that he was after the right animal by constantly checking the size of the footprints. Following the correct set of tracks is a difficult part of rhino hunting, since 3 or 4 different rhino might have watered at the same hole during the night. As soon as my arrows were ready, the other 2 trackers and I took off in pursuit of Halika. One of the delights of hunting on foot was that I was able to observe other animals quite closely. Animals which normally would run at the sound of a Jeep or Land Rover. Halika's ability to discern rhino tracks on that hard ground was just short of supernatural. He had an extra sense about it which is unexplainable, and his endurance is extraordinary. Some 5 or 6 hours after we spotted our first rhino tracks, Halika spotted him and ran back to let us know. After a plan of approach was set, I was on my own. I cautiously maneuvered into position while my men waited anxiously on the sidelines. That black rhino, fully grown, stands about 5 feet high at the shoulder and weighs in the neighborhood of 3,600 pounds. When you are standing 20 yards away from a brute of an animal like that, there's no time to lose your composure. Nevertheless, I flinched and missed. Time seemed to hang in midair. For one long moment, that rhino and I locked stares while he made up his mind what to do. That moment seemed to last forever. Then he charged. Fortunately, an elephant or rhino that has not been struck by an arrow will almost never press home a charge. Having sent me flying, this rhino simply pulled up and went his separate way. And so that day's hunt was over. So the next day, and for the next 25 days, we began a search for the rhino that would provide the Carnegie Museum of Natural History with what they required. Once, Halika found us a good-looking female with a several-month-old offspring. But I aborted this hunt. That baby would have had no chance in the bush without its mother. Then a week later, we ran into still another cow and her young. And once again, we let them run away unharmed. During those 3.5 weeks, I had several good shots at large specimen rhinos, but I was unable to bring one down. Of course, with a rifle, any one of them could have easily been killed. The bow requires great patience and as much understanding of the animal as you can muster. Then, on the 25th day of hunting, Alika located a big male for me. This rhino, although it kept edging away from me, had a positive feeling about it. I knew this was it. The rhino paused in a thick clump of bush, and for a moment I was concerned about firing and hitting the overhanging branches. But I aimed and drew and fired. He was hit hard, high up behind the shoulder, and I knew he was ours. We trailed him for about 200 yards and found him dead in a small thicket. He had lasted about 30 seconds. As I took measurements and data for the museum and made arrangements for the skeleton to be shipped back to the United States, I felt a certain regret that this hunt might be my last one. The strain of training with heavy bows and avoiding angry animals was beginning to take its toll on me. As I reached the age of 60 years, maybe I should start thinking about something else. Now the tarpon have gone for the day. Bob and I decide to call it quits. But as I make my way back to San Antonio, I can still feel the pull of the bush country. And I think about Africa and its ever-changing adventures. Perhaps. And then last May, during the International Game Conference, I revisited the Lone Star Hall, a magnificent educational museum in San Antonio, to which I and many others have made contributions over the years. This ivory was donated 20 years ago now. And then the polar bear. Lord, that was close. And that angry lion. I can still feel his claw. And that unpredictable rhino of the Makuzo. Lots and lots of memories here. But hunting and fishing the way I do, I really do very little damage. My, how a man can rationalize what he longs to do. And so I'm going back. I will train again and go back to the bush that I love and hunt the noblest animals of all, and in a way that may or may not cause them or me any damage at all.